What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, guys. I had a special request. We here back in Sweden with 4 shocking facts about Sweden. So learn Swedish in a fun way. We here with fun Swedish. Finna check this out. I already see we got the Sweden solar system. I'm looking down below. I'm cheating. I'm already looking at the little markers at the bottom. But we finna check this out, see what it's about. Y'all hit that subscribe button. Send down those recommendations.
Hey, and welcome to Fun Swedish. Today we're going to talk about some fun facts that might shock you about Sweden. So, let's get started. Number 1. Sweden has the biggest solar system model in the world. This one is the least known fact on this list. And it can be especially interesting for you who live in Stockholm. And it's actually one of these facts that not even Swedish people know about. In Stockholm, we have this place called Globen. In Globen,
somebody sent me the video a long time ago and I still never got a chance. If you were that person or if you see this, I need to find this video to check this out. I forgot. I never got the chance to look at what's inside of this building. I used to ask about it all the time.
Means the globe. It's this huge building in the south of Stockholm, Söder om Söder, which is shaped like a giant ball. And in this place, many concerts, conferences, and events have taken place. Anyway, if you have ever seen Globen, then you might have asked yourself, what is this cool building? Why is it round? Is that functional? But the truth is that Globen is part of a gigantic art project. It is part of the largest scale model of the solar system. We're gonna get a little bit geeky here, but this big ball-looking building represents the sun. And all the planets are somewhere in Sweden, made at scale in size and distance from Globen. So in Stockholm, you can...
I need to remember that. Let me write that down. The science of everything. I need to check that out. I need to put that for a reminder. I don't remember that channel, the science of everything. But I do remember them talking about that. I do remember them talking about that globe and what it represents.
Already see or visit a few of them. Mercury is outside the Stockholm Stadsmuseum in Slussen. Venus is in the research center Alba Nova. And the Earth, together with the Moon, they are both in Naturhistoriska Riksmuseet in Stockholm.
I remember this.
Mars is in Mariehamn Centrum, which is the end station of the red line of the metro. Jupiter is in Arlanda, the airport. A bit further away, in Uppsala, is Saturn. Uranus is in Lövstabruk.
Dang! I know I seen the first few she named. I remember seeing them. They were mentioned in video. But I ain't never seen the whole solar system.
Saturn. Uranus is in Lövstabruk, 146 kilometers away from Globen. Neptune is in Söderhamn. And Pluto, because this model was made before Pluto was no longer a planet, is in Delsbo.
Dang.
There are some other parts of this.
Didn't they just name Pluto? Dang, what's it called? One of the planets is super small planet, so it's not even considered the solar system. I don't think it. Dwarf planet. I think they named it a dwarf planet now or something.
Gigantic art
could be wrong.
That are not planets. The piece that is the furthest away is in Kiruna, 950 kilometers away from Globen. So you could say that this model has 950 kilometers in size. So let's continue and move on to our second shocking fact about Sweden. All universities in Sweden are free for all levels. There's some few private art schools where you have to pay, but they're very, very few. So in general, you can become a doctor, a teacher, or graphic designer without paying anything.
Wow.
As long as you have at least the permanent resident permit. But it doesn't stop there.
What about international students?
The thing that shocks most people is that you also get paid for studying in Sweden. This little salary for being a student.
I wish somebody would have told me this when I made my college decision. When I was in the process of I wish somebody would have told me that. I probably would have gone ahead and booked a trip. When I don't know. I might have been scared. Would have been scared to leave that far, but I ain't now.
and it's called Studiebidrag. The amount of money you get is around 3,300 kronor per month, which is kind of like $385 per month. The idea is that this money should go to paying your books, your computer, and the things you need for studying. But normally, most of this money go to fika with your friends.
Yeah,
however, getting this money comes with a price. Your chances of having another side income are very limited as long as you receive this money. So this is one of the reasons why it's quite rare for Swedish people to work many hours and study at the same time. Another thing you need to do to get this studiebidrag is to attend to the lessons and pass the exams. Otherwise, they will stop giving you this studiebidrag.
Yeah, there's always requirements.
But normally,
for
you
sure.
have many chances of retaking your exams, so most Swedish people keep their allowance.
I can say we do get, like if you have a certain GPA, you do get a certain grant. Like Texas give out a grant, and it's a good grant. I ain't even gonna lie. So if you have I think they give you like 5,000 a year. I don't know how many years that you get to use it, but I know as long as you maintain, I think it's like a 2.5. They might have went up since I've been in school, but they'll give you a $5,000 grant. So, split that up each semester, 2,500. Then if you get some other grants and stuff, it can work out, but school here is still too expensive, if you ask me, because most people, you're not getting certain grants, you're not getting, or even loans, you're not getting unless your parents don't make that much. That's the only thing. That's the only thing that will stop people. Because if your parents make a good amount, you're probably not going to see any grants at all.
At university level, you can take this studiebidrag up to 6 years. But you can also take this thing called studielån, which is basically a student loan, which are very, very famous for having a very low interest rate. And all these benefits with free education and allowance have resulted in a very, very high percentage of university degrees in the population of Sweden. So let's move on. But before we talk about the most shocking Swedish fact, don't forget to put a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it yet. Number 3. The thing that shocks our students the most is offentlighetsprincipen. What does this long word mean and why does it shock so many people? Well, now we're going to tell you all about it.
That shocked me.
Offentlighetsprincipen is the principle of public access to all official records. It's a law here in Sweden, and it basically means that Sweden has a default to open setting for all information and statistics that the Swedish state has about you. Maybe you think, but my country also do public information. There's nothing special with that. Well, Sweden goes to the extreme. With public information, we mean things like your home address, if you're married or not, and even your salary. All these are easy to find out and is seen as public information in Sweden. If you forget when your friends...
Okay, the home address may not be public or the married outside. Yeah, these things wouldn't be. I think these things are more private.
And it's seen as public information in Sweden. If you forget when your friend's birthday is, then you can just Google it. And you will also be able to find out their age and even their zodiac sign. What about stalkers? It's a common question we get from our students. Don't worry about it. Sweden is a relatively safe country with low crimes. And if you don't have this personal number, which is the Swedish identification and tax number, then you're actually free from this. No one will be able to find your home address. It only applies as soon as you get your personal number. So perhaps this is one good thing if you're waiting for your personal number. Nobody will know your zodiac sign or your home address until you get it. We totally understand if you find this offentlighetsprincipen, the principle of public access, a bit creepy. But if you ask a Swede, they're actually quite positive to it. And most Swedes actually want to keep it. They like it it is. Because in general, the Swede trust the government and the laws they implement. At least this is what the statistics say. Because Sweden is one of the countries in the world where most people trust the government. You might ask yourself, how come? Well, to find out about this, we need to go deep into Swedish history. The idea behind this extreme transparency is that it's a way to battle corruption. The most public and a little bit funny corruption scandal that came out was known as the Toblerone-affären. What is this Toblerone-affären? Receiving millions of bribes from the company Toblerone? Not at all. What happened is that this politician bought with a state card 2 Toblerone chocolates in the supermarket.
Oh, what?
And thanks to offentlighetsprincipen, all this information about this card was publicly available and easy to access, which ended up in some journalists finding this information, writing an article about it, and in the end the politician had to go. And it was said that this politician would have become the prime minister if this didn't happen. And Sweden is today famous for being a country with very little corruption. And some people say that it's thanks to this transparency that we have. And the low case of corruption in the country can also be a reason why Swedish people trust the government and the state so much. And also why they're willing to give up a little bit of their privacy in order to have this transparency. And another fun fact that is due to all these public records about Swedes and what happened to Swedes is that Sweden is one of the best countries in the world to do genealogical research. Basically, it's very easy to find out everything about your relatives. My genealogical tree goes back to the 17th century when they started to write down everything about my relatives in this folkbokföringsboken. Here is, for example, my genealogical tree.
And did she write this out herself or print it out?
Folkbokföringsboken. Here is, for example, my
She done pulled out a scroll. Dang. Oh my
tree. And I can see a lot of information about my relatives. Where they lived, how long they lived, and what their professions were. It's pretty cool. And according to the Swedish state, during the 7th century, I had a Swedish relative. Here his name was Jöns Gullbrandsson. He was apparently very, very into black magic. And he was therefore in prison for alleged sorcery.
Oh, dang.
So I basically have some wizards and witches in my family. At least if you want to believe the Swedish state from the 17th century. So let's move on to our last shocking thing about Sweden. Allemansrätten. Allemansrätten is law in Sweden and basically means every man's right. And with every man they also include women. But every man's right to what, you might ask? Every man's right to access to certain public and private owned land.
I say I've checked out. Y'all sent me a couple of videos about this, so I'm very familiar with this one.
For more than 500 years, and it was implemented for practical reasons. Back then, a lot of Swedish were traveling around the forest to get to one village to the other. And when they needed to rest, it was too much work to find the owner of the private land to ask them if they can stay over the night. So the government decided to implement this allemansrätten to make it easier for them. And after that, life became so much easier. Now you can rest during the night, eat some berries, and maybe set a bonfire and sleep during the night. But to be sure that Swedish people didn't abuse this law, they put on some regulations. Things you were allowed to do and things you were not allowed to do. The things you could do were, for example, walk, bike, and go with boat whatever you wanted. Camp for some nights and light an open fire as long as the weather conditions were good.
You can't stay longer than one night.
You're also allowed to pick berries, mushrooms, and flowers. And then we have the things you're not allowed to do according to allemansrätten. Like, for example, camping next to someone's house or on their lot. Go by car or motorbike in the forest, damage trees and bushes, or leave trash. You're not allowed either to hurt animals or to disturb them. You can fish, but only in certain areas, so you need to check out which places you can fish. So, even if allemansrätten was implemented 500 years ago, it still exists and is very, very loved among Swedish people. I got in trouble once when I was abroad, I think it was in the UK, because I thought that allemansrätten existed everywhere. But I learned the hard way.
Definitely not here in Texas.
Is very, very Swedish, and in other countries you need to be more careful where you walk around.
Definitely.
So, that was our first episode of 4 shocking Swedish things. Let us know in the comment section below if you have any questions or if you want to tell us about your experience. And before you go, you know what to do. Subscribe if you haven't done it yet and put a like. Hej då, vi ses nästa vecka!
Hey though. Feel like I ain't said that in a minute. Hey though. But now, yeah, four shocking things definitely were shocking. Definitely familiar with the allemansrätten. You know, definitely can't do that here in Texas. Y'all know the gun laws here. People looking for a reason to shoot somebody at this point. But appreciate y'all for sending me this recommendation. Love Sweden. Definitely gotta check out more about Sweden. So hey, y'all keep the recommendations coming. Y'all hit that subscribe button, and y'all be blessed. Be the best.